Good afternoon. Congratulate the Honorable Heather Doyle. I know the club was very well represented at the investiture, so awesome. That was great. We're going to turn on the music. No, we're not.
All right, maybe we can.
Well, Ed, I told Ed, when you became the president, you said the first thing you want to do is not mess anything up, and man, this is just like the worst opening ever.
Get it out of the way early.
Letting you down, man.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to sing My Country, 'Tis of Thee.
1, 2, 3.
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the Pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
That was nice. Recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ed Cleveland's going to lead us in the invocation.
Let's pray together. Father, thank you for the time that we have together as Braden and Kiwanis. For the members that we have that are here and those that can't be here today, will you bless each and every member? Father, bless this technical problem. Make it work, because there's good stuff to have yet today. And now, Father, we'll pray that you'll bless our leadership as they start a new year as our president and elected officers and board members. Make this a great year for the Braden and Kiwanis Club and for all that we can do to make this community even better. Now bless this food to our good and us to your service. In Christ's name we'll ask it. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. We'll be back at 12:30. All right, welcome back. We've got our technology back. Every club needs a scout. Thanks, sir. That's awesome. I'd like to invite Mac up to the podium for some announcements and to announce our guest.
Another beautiful day in Bradenton. Thank you for the rain yesterday and for a little cooler weather behind it. We always need that and look forward to it. Would like to introduce a few people. We have Miss Ann Heller. Where is Ann? From Take Stock, I believe. And we've all seen Ann Colonna here, but you know, let her, she's with Take Stock also, and they're working on getting a corporate membership together. And we also have Lori Rostovsky, is that correct? All right. She is from Gulf Coast Property and is a guest of Lisa Morrison. We also have a few people out there that, just to mention, I'd like for everybody to sign in when you show up. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come up and do the Bueller, and see who raises their hand. But I appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mac. So today we get a double dose of Tom because he is going to present his members moment. So while we work through yet another technological issue, Tom's going to go ahead and give us his members moment. So please welcome Tom Mosley.
For you, though, most of you know who I am. I'm Tom Mosley. I've been a member of this club since 1987. I've been married 39 years to the same woman. And my favorite quote comes from Theodore Roosevelt, which is the man in the arena where he dares everyone to dare greatly. And so that's been important to me, and it's something that I've tried to impart onto family and friends and the organizations that I've been a part of. My children all have master's degree. Diane got a master's in architecture from Michigan and is an architect in San Francisco. Most importantly, she's the mother of my twin grandchildren, Wesley and Riley. Her twin sister, Christine, got her MBA from Wharton. She's the founder of an ag tech company in Silicon Valley. She's been featured in the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, The Economist, Christianity Today. She was named a tech pioneer by the World Economic Forum, and just this month she was named by Inc. magazine as one of the top 100 women founders. Ryan has his master's degree in economics from George Mason University, is a CFA Level 3 candidate, and is the heir apparent to Mosley Investment Management. I've been involved with a number of organizations at a leadership level. I'm currently the chair of the Florida Alliance for Boys and Girls Club, which lobbies the state legislature for funds for the clubs across the state. In the last 2 years, we've been successful in getting over $13 million for the Boys and Girls Clubs in Florida. And I've received recognition for my volunteer service from the Bar, Channel 10, Boys and Girls Club of America, and was named by George Bush as a point of light. But my most challenging and most rewarding leadership experience was with this club. The challenge is that this club is pretty much all chiefs and no Indians. And so at times it can be like Game of Thrones without the dragons and the homicides. I was, a long time ago, I located and got the land for this facility donated to the players on the condition that the facility be completed within 2 years. 7 years later, it was not completed, and there was a $2.8 million balloon payment coming due. So we put together at the club a community of panel leaders to discuss why it was important for this club to be finished. So basically, for several of the members, they told us that we shouldn't do it because, and we shouldn't waste Kiwanis' time because it was a waste of our money and our time because we would never finish. But luckily, the issues were resolved, and by the end of the year, this club, and it's one of the advantages of being all chiefs and no Indians, that if we set our mind to something, there's nothing that we can't do, was we started Christmas in August, every child a reader. We had a progressive marathon, and we did and supported the Manatee County Key Club and their Extreme Key Over, where they raised $85,000 in kind and dollar to remodel a club in Pride Park. There was a bus there. We did move the bus. We had all the television stations there. And it was really one of the highlights of my year as president, was to see the faces of the families as they went into their new house. So if there's less Game of Thrones and more daring greatly, there's nothing this club can't do. If you dare greatly, you will have your critics and maybe even your haters, but if you don't do it, you'll never fully live up to your full potential. I'd like to congratulate again Heather for daring greatly to becoming a judge and to, again, living up to her God-given abilities. So, and for Mike, since he is the man in the arena, I have the man in the arena framed for you, so you can look at it on your desk. I loved it at Heather's investiture. The chief judge says, "Look around, soak it all up, because this is the only day that everybody will love you." So, so are we ready for? No. Okay.
Everything else is showing up as a video except for that one.
Okay. All right. There will be no video of the week.
We'll show it next week.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right.
So no video of the week.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. And it's great to hear some of the recent history of the club, which you were so instrumental in. You know, our 100th anniversary is coming up, so Judge Gilbert Smith is leading that committee to celebrate all the major accomplishments that this club has been part of over the last 100 years, and you know, that being just a taste of it, it's just great. We've got some announcements. There will be a foundation meeting at the end of this meeting. I think it's 1 minute is what I heard. Is that right? 1 minute meeting. Don't forget to sign up for Salvation Army bell ringing. We have a Veterans Day program coming up on November 5th, so don't forget to invite your veterans. And there will be a committee. We need a committee of volunteers, 6 to 10 people that can show up at 9 o'clock on that day to help set up. You can see Ed Cleveland for that. If you have a Kiwanis moment that you would like to share, just please let me know. We'll make sure to get you on the agenda. With that, I'd like to bring up Christy to introduce today's speaker.
I'm not getting the box. So I'm glad to see everybody here today. We have a wonderful presentation today by two of our own, Mac Aldrich and Jim Thielen, who went to World Jamboree. So I know many of you have probably seen the pictures online, but we thought it would be nice to have them share with us what they did during the Jamboree, and all the boys and the leadership and the mentoring, and especially because our club has always been very affiliated with the Boy Scouts and involved with the Boy Scouts, and I know many of you are Boy Scouts, Eagle Scouts in our crowd. So with no further ado, because you guys know who they are, I'm going to welcome Mac and Jim up here.
Let's hope that the technology works better now that I'm actually standing up here. Tried a little something different today, so let me go ahead and get this started up. Now, first of all, back in the spring, we were invited to attend the World Scout Jamboree, the 24th World Scout Jamboree, which is when people from all over the world get together to socialize and to share in scouting events and activities, and to try to pull things together and show how we can all work together as one, that this is not just an isolated type of thing. So the camp is situated up in West Virginia at the Summit Scout Reserve. This is something that's relatively new. It's only been in existence for about 5 years. And for a long time, jamborees in this country are held in different places around the country. And then 9/11 came along. And whereas the last several had been held at Fort A.P. Hill outside of Washington, D.C., with all the military bases kind of getting closed down and repurposed and so forth, they had to find a new location. So the Summit Bechtel Reserve is just outside of Beckley, West Virginia. It's 14,000 acres, and it abuts up to the New River Gorge, which is another 70,000 acres of pristine forest land and zip lining and all sorts of trails and things. So this was a great place to have it. And so right now it consists of a lot of different subcamps and activity areas, and is used throughout the year, not just for jamborees, but as a permanent high adventure base and training area for adults and for youth, and it's just a really neat place to go. During this particular World Jamboree, we had over 43,000 individuals, which made it the second largest city in West Virginia for 2 weeks. And that's no lie. 28,200 youth were on hand. We had over 3,000 adult leaders who were with them. And then we had what we were part of, the international service team, over 10,000 people that were there to provide the amenities and all of the services that the youth and the contingents needed while they were there. And during the 5 days or so that folks from around the country and the world could come in and visit, we had over 16,000 visitors. So there were times when we had a lot of people there, and it was a really great experience. Want to say anything, Jim?
Sure. Well, as Mac said, him and I run what they call the IST, the International Service Team. My job was to deliver ice. We delivered almost 1 million pounds of ice over the time by hand off the freezer trucks into ice boxes. Mac worked in the trading post selling stuff, some of the stuff you'll see up front here. But it takes a village to make this happen. I mean, we were there as adults purely to provide service to all these youth, to young men and young women who were there. There was about 40% female attendance from around the world in that. Here in the United States, we've had several troops of young ladies there as well. And it was pretty interesting to see the interaction of all the youth getting together. And that's one of the purposes of these World Jamborees, is to allow the youth to come together and build bonds, and that across the seas, across the lands, and that because Scouting and Baden-Powell, our founder, had a philosophy of a grassroots movement. To be able to start at the youth and instill the character and values, leadership in them, so they can make a difference in the world. And that's the whole purpose about World Jamboree, is allowing these youth to come together, build the bonds, and learn stuff about how to make a difference. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I think Mac has a little video to share.
Okay. So the way we're going to work this, we've got a video that was filmed by the Italian contingent, just to kind of give you a little international flavor of their view of the opening days of the Jamboree and the opening ceremony. Then there are going to be a set of pictures that come up, and Jim and I are going to be talking about some of the aspects of the Jamboree that we experienced and share that with you, and then it will end up with the closing ceremony, which, how many have ever been to Disney World and seen their fireworks show? Put it to shame. It was huge and lasted a long time, not only the fireworks, but the lasers and pentatonics and all that kind of good stuff. It was really outstanding. So we'll play this little opening ceremony so you can kind of see what it looked like, and then we'll talk a little bit more.
Passare e vedere tanti gruppi italiani che non conosco assolutamente nessuno, però danno una carica.
We're part of right now is the start of the 24th World Scout Jamboree.
So as you can see, there was a lot of excitement there. Everybody was pumped, and it's really kind of cool. Jim and I and others got to stand around and watch all of these kids coming in from all parts of the camp down to where the amphitheater was, and to see the excitement in their eyes and to hear them talking to each other, even though you couldn't understand each other half the time. It didn't make any difference. You all speaking the same language in terms of being friendly to one another and being scout-like and everything. And one of the things that really made it interesting, do you have yours with you? They had something called Novus. It's just this little plastic watch-looking thing. But when you found somebody you wanted to exchange information with, you didn't have to really speak. You just showed them this, and you tapped on it to bring the lights up, and then it probably won't work now. Yeah, there you go. And then they would start blinking, and when you did that, any information that you had, that you shared, your email address, your phone number, Facebook, whatever, automatically got exchanged. And then when you got home, you could print up a list of everybody that you had had contact with, which was really kind of neat, because right now on Facebook, I've got a gentleman out of India that's been posting stuff, and watching him get married recently, and it's been really kind of a neat thing.
Well, and again, this was a global event. As I delivered ice, the team I was working on, I had a gentleman from Hong Kong, actually and a lady from Hong Kong. I had 2 ladies from France, and that on the team that I managed, because this is actually my 5th Jamboree delivering ice, first time doing a World Jamboree. From Florida, it's a great job to be nice and cold in the freezer trucks. But I mean, it was great to hear how they work together, see how they work together. And that was the whole thing about this Jamboree. No matter what the task was, the youth came together and did it. They came together and worked as a team, regardless of what nationalities they came from, whether there was conflict between their countries at home. They worked together as a team at the Jamboree. And that was the greatest thing. As I sat up on the hilltop, I saw as the opening ceremony, and I was in a natural bowl, and that they came in walking in. I was up on the hilltop watching all these youth, young men, young women coming in, and brought tears to my eyes to see how they were just integrating, talking. They didn't even know each other 2 days before, but they're now talking. They're exchanging with their novices. They're now coming together, creating that fellowship, that friendship, which will carry them for the rest of their life. And that's the whole purpose of what the scouting movement is, the World Scouting Movement, and the whole purpose of what we are trying to do in the United States is to build that bond with the basic structure so these youth can grow up and be the productive citizens, world citizens we want them to be. The United States, we're actually looking to start taking our scouting movement and making it more towards the World Scouting Movement and adopting more of the principles. One of the principles is, you see me wearing my neckerchief. They call them neckers around the world. Every country has their own type of necker. A lot of them don't have uniforms like you see Mac and I in. Their uniform is this. This is what separates them and tells them. So they're out in public during the day wearing their neckers, doing service work, going to work, signifying that they're a scout because they're wearing their necker. So it was just the differences to see was amazing. But the common thing was, it was also amazing because in the afternoons, I would go down into the camps and talk to the leaders, talk to the youth. And again, I didn't speak their language, I didn't speak English real well, but we were able to come to some common dialogue, and it was amazing to see, regardless, all the youth around the world are just like our youth. The same trials and tribulations we have with teenagers are the same trials and tribulations they were having around the world with their youth there. But it was fun to be able to talk to them. I have up here a shirt that I was able to trade for Netherlands. I got a Mexican shirt, I got a backpack I was able to trade in Australia. So that was also the fun part, is we had stuff to trade and to build that friendship and that fellowship.
So I got to work in the largest trading post. There are 3 trading posts on the property, and the main one was where everybody came through. So that was kind of nice that I got a chance to see just about everybody who was on the property came through our trading post down at Gateway, including all the visitors and guests that came in. So it was really kind of neat to work with them. It's the first time I'd ever done retail. I learned a lot about why things are as expensive as they are. So it was kind of fun to do that. But to try to help those folks and to go out and talk with them, to eat lunch with them, We had one young lady that I worked with who was from Great Britain, and I took a couple slots from her because she worked on a farm, and somehow the sewage system wasn't working and they didn't have any water, and she was very concerned about her animals. And you know, that was kind of interesting. And then there was another young lady from the Netherlands who was into technology and writing code and that sort of thing, and it was neat to talk to her about what her prospects were for her future. While we were there too, we had people from all over the world. Over 170 different countries were participating, and it was kind of expensive. But one of the things that the Scouts did, which I thought was really neat, was that for the folks who were coming from the areas that had a little lower income and couldn't afford it, it was subsidized by those countries who were more affluent. So the United States and Canada paid a little bit more than, say, the folks from Zimbabwe or from Papua New Guinea, to help them be able to overcome that expense and be able to get there and participate. Some of the things we also had to do there, I'm on the wrong sheet. Oh, they had places like the Centro Mundial, and it's basically a combination of Spanish and French, which meant the center of the world. They had some different program areas. One was the North American Dream, where you could learn about the values and culture and history of different countries. They had the Faith and Beliefs area, where you could go and learn more about the religious aspect of all these different countries that were there. The Better World area was where you could find out about Scouts and how they were creating positive change and different international networks. A lot of it had to do with the environment and with climate change and that sort of thing, and how every group of people was trying to deal with that, and some of the different things that they could do to try to change what was going on. And then we also had Living in the 21st Century, where you could look at global citizenship, future of work, exploration, communication, and transportation. And all those things are different in every country, so it was kind of interesting to talk about those.
Then the other thing is they had what they call the World Point, which every country had a chance to have their own area to expose the visitors and the participants and the adults there to that country's culture. And so it was a very large area on top of the stadium area that you saw in the video, that they all had about 125 booths or so, or tents, where you can go through and immerse yourself in the various cultures. And to top that off, they actually closed down program one day and called it Cultural Day. And the whole idea of the Cultural Day is to allow the participants to go from troop area to troop area to immerse themselves in the food, in the song, in the dance, in the costumes of that country and that troop. Because we had the troop, it wasn't like all of the United States was in one area. They had all the troops from all the countries intermingled amongst each other. So one of our troops here from Southwest Florida was located. They had Mexico, they had Brazil, they had France near them. So they had different countries and different cultures. So Cultural Day, they all went around and experienced different cultures, different aspects. Our particular troop in Southwest Florida, they served boiled peanuts and Cuban coffee, because we actually shared our troop was part of South Florida, Miami, and our area up here a little north of them. So as their cultural foods, they actually had boiled peanuts they were serving and Cuban coffee that they brought to serve everybody. So again, the whole idea was to immerse all the participants and the adults like ourselves with the world culture, and that to make people understand that we're all together in a global society. One of the interesting facts I learned is in most of the places in the country, I'm too old to be part of Scouts anymore. Most countries, their adult leaders are done when they're 35, 40 years old, and that they want the younger people to drive their scouting program, which was kind of interesting to learn.
And another thing that was interesting too is that in order to help welcome the scouts from other parts of the world is that the U.S. contingents came in first. They got all of their equipment set up, and then they tried to set up as much of the other equipment as they could for the scouts coming from other places, so that they were actually coming as guests and not having to go and set everything up. Now, they had to tear everything else down when they were done, but it was nice for them to be able to come in and have all that, especially since it rained the very first day they all got there. So having to set all the tents and the cooking equipment and everything else up in the rain is no fun if you've ever had to do that before. Some other things they also had, at the World Point area, they had a couple of stages set up so that the kids could come in and perform, whether it be different dances or music from the region that they lived in or anything like that. They wanted to do these performances. So you would find all sorts of things going on down there. On Unity Day, or Cultural Day, they had the Unity show at the end of the day. And that was where they had a lot of different people come and talk about things. Unfortunately, I missed most of it because they needed help in the trading post, but I could hear all the music. They had performances from Broadway stage shows, some of the different ones, Frozen and what's the one about? Oh, the Lion King and that sort of thing. You know, it sounded really, really good, and they were all performers that were from the stages doing that. And then at the closing show, which will be coming up here shortly, I hope, it was fun once again to see everybody come together to be talking about what they had done throughout the week. They were going to be leaving the next day. There was a lot of emotion during that time. Folks that were not going to be seeing each other again or who would lose contact. And we got to hear from the Secretary of the United Nations, and we got to hear from several other different people who talked about what was going to be happening when they left there and the expectations that they had for everyone when they went back to their home countries, so that they could continue this process of being global citizens and working together in unity with one another. And I think that was pretty much about it. Anything else? Nope, they got there. Hey, timed that one just right. You want to say something?
No, that's fine.
Okay, so here was the closing ceremony. What's that?
For a quick second.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Just one final thing is, the next one's in South Korea in 4 years. I've already started my registration process. I'm not sure if Mac has. Because of this experience, I've already been invited back to Australia, to Brazil, to Ireland, to England, for a variety of other jamborees. Now, financially, can't do all of them, but I'll probably be doing some of them to go back and work. The experience of seeing these international youth and getting to know these adults was one of the biggest amazing things I ever experienced in my life, in my scouting career as a youth and as an adult. So it's just amazing, and I definitely will be back in Korea in 4 years.
And although I was a little hesitant about going to this one for different reasons, I am really super glad that I got to attend and participate the way we did. It was just an amazing experience. So we're going to show this closing video, and then if we have a few minutes, questions.
spread from here to all corners of the globe. I declare that the 24th World Scout Jamboree closed.
The fireworks lasted almost 30 minutes.
Yeah. And one of the other things too, you might have noticed, but with these little Novus watches, they could actually control these from outside and change the colors on them. So instead of doing the free bird with your lighter, you just held your wrist up and waved these things, and they would cycle through different colors and stuff, and it was really kind of neat.
Any questions? Anybody have any?
Anybody? Yes, ma'am. Depended upon the night, sometimes maybe 5 or 6. It was, and then for me, because they had buses that ran from our site to where I was supposed to work, it was a pain to try to wait for them, so it was easier just to walk uphill and down again, about 1.5 miles or 3/4 to work and back again.
Now, I was lucky. It also depends on your tent mates.
Yeah.
Because you had 4 people per tent, 4 adults per tent. I'm lucky. One of the reasons I do ice is I have transportation. I have my own gators that we have for our team, so we can go deliver the ice. But again, I would say between 4 to 5 hours. Is by the time we got done with our routes, we were done relatively early, but then we got assigned other duties as assigned. We were asked to do other things to help out. And as a good scout, of course, we volunteer to do them. And then there's always something on every night. We actually had, in the adult area, we had a place called the Chat and Chew, which you can go sit there and get food, get some beverages, and sit there and chat with other people from around the world. So we would and they would have people all of a sudden start breaking out singing, dancing, playing card games, doing whatever. It was a social environment with every adults from around the world who were there to work the event. So be there quite late at night, and then in the staff area, they actually had a performance stage where every country, every night, put on a performance that, unfortunately, you couldn't go to sleep too well because it was near my tent, and the music was quite loud.
And in addition, all of the showers were solar powered. So it depended upon when you could get into the shower as to whether you got a warm one or a less warm one. Yeah. So it was a little bit different. So most of the time you're getting up about 5:30, and then going to bed about midnight. Anybody else? All right, well, we thank you so much for your attention. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. That was great. It's great to see our members out working with youth. The Boy Scouts and the Bradenton Kiwanis are very much aligned in that objective of developing the civic skills and leadership skills with our youth. So, awesome presentation. We've got.
They're right there under your gavel, looks like. Oh, is that a microphone? I'll get it right
There we go.
Yes, the golden rule.
We'll split it.
You're going to split it 6 inches each to measure your future success.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. And there's stuff for you to take a look at if you have any questions about on the table here. Some of the things we were able to bring back.
All right, so just a couple quick reminders. Don't forget to sign up for Veterans Day and invite your veterans friends. Don't forget to volunteer to serve that morning if you have time. Don't forget to sign up for the Salvation Army bell ringing. There is a foundation meeting right at the end of this meeting. And that's it. Have a good day.